Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're beginning a new chapter, 10th canto, chapter 85. Lord Krishna instructs Vasudeva and retrieves Devaki's sons. I'll read the introduction here. This chapter relates how Lord Krishna imparted divine knowledge to his father, and along with Lord Balarāma, retrieved his mother's dead sons. Having heard the visiting sages glorify Krishna, Vasudeva ceased to regard him and Balarāma as his sons, and began praising their omnipotence, omnipresence, and omniscience as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After glorifying his sons, Vasudeva fell at Lord Krishna's lotus feet and begged him to drive away the conception that the Lord was his son. Instead, Lord Krishna restored the conception by instructing Vasudeva in the science of Godhead. And upon hearing these instructions, Vasudeva became peaceful and free of doubt. Then Mother Devaki praised Krishna and Balarāma, reminding them how they had retrieved the dead son of their spiritual master. She said, "Please fulfill my desire in the same way. Please bring back my sons who were killed by Kamsa, so I may see them once again." Entreated in this way by their mother, the two lords went to the subterranean planet of Sutala, where they approached Bali Maharaj. King Bali greeted them respectfully, offering them seats of honor, worshiping them and reciting prayers. Krishna and Balarāma then requested Bali to return Devaki's dead sons. The lords received the boys from Bali and returned them to Devaki, who felt such a surge of affection for them that milk began spontaneously flowing from her breast. Overjoyed, Devaki fed the children her breast milk, and by drinking the remnants of milk once drunk by Lord Krishna himself, they regained their original forms as demigods and went back to heaven. śrī-bādarāyaṇir uvāca athaikadātmajau prāptau kṛta-pādābhivandanau vasudevo bhinandyāha prītyā saṅkarṣaṇa-acyutau śrī-bādarāyaṇir uvāca athaikadātmajau prāptau kṛta-pādābhivandanau vasudevo bhinandyāha prītyā saṅkarṣaṇa-acyutau Śrī Bādarāyaṇi uvāca athaikadātmajau prāptau kṛta-pādābhivandanau vasudevo bhinandyāha prītyā saṅkarṣaṇa-acyutau Śrī Bādarāyaṇa uvāca. Śrī Bādarāyaṇi, Śukadeva Gosvāmī said, atha, then, ekadā, one day, ātmajau, his two sons, prāptau, came to him, kṛta, having done, pāda, of his feet, abhivandanau, honoring, vasudevaḥ, Vasudeva, abhinandya, greeting them, atha, said, prītyā, affectionately, saṅkarṣaṇa-acyutau, to Balarāma and Kṛṣṇa. Translation: Śrī Bādarāyaṇi said, one day the two sons of Vasudeva, Saṅkarṣaṇa and Acyuta, came to pay him respects, bowing down at his feet. Vasudeva greeted them with great affection and spoke to them. Okay, and I'll just read the next two verses and translations. Muninam sa vacha srutva putrayor dhamma suchakam tadviyar jata vishramba paribhayasbhya vasata. Translation: having heard the great sage's words concerning the power of his two sons, and having seen their valorous deeds, Vasudeva became convinced of their divinity. Thus, addressing them by name, he spoke to them as follows. Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa Mahayogin saṅkarṣaṇa sanatana janevam asyayat sakshat pradana purushau padau. Translation: Vasudeva said, O Krishna, Krishna, best of the yogis, O eternal Saṅkarṣaṇa, I know that you too are personally the source of universal creation and the ingredients of creation as well. Purport: as taught in the Sankhya doctrine of Lord Kapila-Dev, pradana is the creative energy of the Purusha, the Supreme Person. Thus, of these two principles, the pradana is the predominated energy, female, incapable of independent action, while the Purusha is the absolutely independent, primeval creator and enjoyer. Neither Krishna nor his brother Balarāma belong to the category of subordinate energy. Rather, both of them together are the original Purusha, who is always joined by his manifold potencies of pleasure, knowledge, and creative emanation. Magyanātamidandasya gyananjana salakaya chakshūnmilitam jena tasrai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayavrupakkadamayam Dadati Svapadandikam Vanchakopa Tudubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we're starting next chapter, very wonderful chapter here. Krishna Balarāma Mandir. Shri Krishna Balarāma ki jai. Has everyone noticed this morning? Krishna Balarāma and Gaura-Nitai looked especially wonderful this morning. Gaura-Nitai had their shark earrings on. They all have their crowns on. So this is our Krishna Balarāma here. Krishna Balarāma Mandir. I got back some days ago. We went to Boston for the 60th anniversary, Srila Prabhupada's arrival in the USA. And they had a wonderful festival. Many devotees were there glorifying Srila Prabhupada. And Saturday they did Harinam through the streets. Boston, one of the main busy streets there in Boston. And Prabhupada was on his palanquin. Devotees had wonderful time, kirtan, but many, many, very busy street. Lots of people there on the street, and they had double-decker buses, people on the top, outside on the buses. And they were all waving at the devotees as the devotees were chanting. One older lady came up and said, "Where have you been?" She said, "I remember you from many years ago, 50 years ago. We hear these things every now and then out on Harinam. When they see the devotees on Harinam, they become very happy to see the devotees chanting and dancing." And she was also happy. She said, "It's been a long time." Prabhupada arrived there 60 years ago, and the Captain Pandya, Captain Pandya, he took Prabhupada down that very street. I always find it very amazing, and I always want to see the places where Prabhupada walked. Because wherever he walked, these places was very opulent. Everything there was so opulent in the streets where Prabhupada walked. 60 years ago, the first place he set foot in the USA. And then he did a program, he went to this church. We also did a program in the church. They let us do a program there, did kirtan there, had prasadam there. And then Sunday, we went on a boat, big boat, big cruise ship, maybe 300-400 devotees were on it. And it eventually left the harbor and went sailing around. That was also interesting. As soon as we hit the water, my stomach felt funny. Just like that. As soon as it started going this way, just in the harbor, not in the ocean, just in the harbor. And I was thinking, we all know devotees were telling different stories about Srila Prabhupada, and of course, everything he went through on the ship for over a month, for some 5 weeks. And of course, his heart attacks, another heart attack. But the result was Boston Harbor and then the USA. But I was also thinking here, Krishna Balarāma Mandir. It didn't come easy. This temple did not come easy for Srila Prabhupada. It was much work to do. I remember being here with him. He was here August, September, 1974. Supposedly for the opening. But it wasn't that easy. Nothing was ready. And not only was the temple not ready, then he became very, very ill. More difficulties. So everything Prabhupada did, every major achievement, accomplishment, Juhu temple. So all he did was fight for years to see that the devotees, to see that the deities, Radharasa Bahari, would stay there, and they would build them a very nice temple. But nothing came easy for Srila Prabhupada. But he never stopped. Like I told those stories when he was young. What he wanted, he had to get. Prabhupada wanted this temple here, his home, but to make it happen required a lot of work. He didn't just go away. He stopped, he stayed here for a long time to see that it happened. So those 2 months he was there, of course he became ill, he recovered. He went to Delhi for some days. That's when he went to Kurukshetra the first time, did a program there. Even though he wasn't feeling well. I told you that story. Prabhupada called in all his big leaders, all his GBC sannyasis, and he said, "Should I go? Or should I stay here and rest?" He said, "You go, discuss, and I'll ask you after lunch." So that's what he did. After lunch, he took his nap, then he rang the bell, said, "Call them." That's all he had to do, say, "Call them." And they were waiting. Imagine, Prabhupada's asking you advice. This was like the highest compliment that he would ask you, your consideration. We always knew he was going to do what he wanted to do, but he gave you the opportunity. But he was also testing what would they say? And when they came in, offered obeisances and the highest sannyasi, So, what do you say? And they looked at Prabhupada all in agreement and said, you should rest, Prabhupada. Prabhupada just shook his head. Nothing comes without effort. A lot of effort, sacrifice. He said, no, the opportunity to preach. And he took that opportunity to preach. There's no comparison. Tomorrow we're leaving, going to Govardhan Eco Village for a week to do programs, and going to South Africa. 50th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada there in South Africa. Everywhere he put his lotus feet, there's a temple. Just by his desire, by his purity, by his turning all these places into tirthas. That's what he did. Oh, and at the same time, a question yesterday. Our goal, the goal of the spiritual master, Prabhupada said, to make you become attached to me. And we all did. We lived for that. Our movement, ISKCON, it's not a movement of becoming detached, Prabhupada said. That's not our goal, to become detached. We have to change our attachments. And that's what he did. He made us change our attachments. We became attached to him. I said, most of you, you're young. You don't. When I was young, we had different toys. They were much less sophisticated. One of them was a top. It was just a piece of wood, point at the bottom like that, and you put a string around it, and you pull the string, and that top would spin, 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 perfectly spin. But gradually it would start to wobble as it spun, and then finally fall over. I saw that with us, Prabhupada's disciples. He would go from one temple to the next, just in time, as everyone's waiting. When is Prabhupada coming? Like we see here, the gopas and the gopis dying without Krishna. Dying, don't even want to live unless they could see Krishna. All the devotees wanted was to see Srila Prabhupada. And then they would be happy, they would be peaceful, and they could do so much service. But no one could do service like Prabhupada did. When he looked at them, they said, you rest. He said, no, preaching. He asked me before, during the Messiah, he did this twice, 2 different times, 2 different occasions, with the same people. And the same answer they gave, you rest, Prabhupada. He said, no, there's no rest. That is also one of our sense of humor. Come retire in Vrindavan. I came to retire in Vrindavan. We have more service now than I did for 40 years here in Vrindavan. Krishna Balarāma. That's when they become happy. They see you working very, very hard. Panchagoda was just telling me, he says he can't get away from me. He goes home, he sees me in the video, he comes here, he sees. But he saw a video when Prabhupada, after he left here, 2 months, as soon as he recovered, he started traveling again. He went to Mayapur, he stayed there for a month. Another project he had to lift up all the time. Everywhere in India, Prabhupada had to spend so many months just inspiring his disciples. So he stayed there for a month. And then he went to Juhu. I said, he worked harder to establish that temple than any other temple in ISKCON, including Vrindavan, including Mayapur. He stayed in Juhu, not for 1 month, not for 2 months. He stayed there for 3 months, just to see that everything was coming together for that project. 3 months. His disciples, I remember myself, I was there with them after being sick here with them, August, September. I almost left, but I didn't. I stayed with him. Then we got to Mayapur, then he went to Juhu, the end of 1974. We were there November. We were there December. And I remember myself, Brahmananda, there's a new secretary coming on, Paramahamsa Swami. We would walk on the beach in the morning. Every morning, Juhu's very close to the airport. And every morning around 7 o'clock, this big jet would fly, leaving India, headed to the USA. And my godbrothers and I, we would be looking, when are we going to be on that jet? When is he going to leave? And he would stay and say, soon. And it would be soon. But he didn't go. And then it would be soon. Our desire, Brahmananda and myself, our desire was so strong to leave. Krishna even gave us a way to leave. He made some problem in Hawaii with the temple. Ambarish had just bought the beautiful temple on 3 acres of land. And they had their first Govinda's restaurant there. Who owned the restaurant was under question. And Brahmananda was one of Prabhupada's troubleshooters. Something was going on. He knew, tell Brahmananda what to do, send him, he'll do exactly what you tell him. And Prabhupada looked at me, you're also not well, so many months. He said, you go with Brahmananda. He said, you go stay there in Hawaii, you get better. He said, we'll be there soon. I thought, oh, good. We got our tickets. Again, I don't know, secretary got the tickets. I just sat in the room by Prabhupada. Tickets came, we got on the plane. I remember the plane took off. Couldn't have been more than 10 minutes. Brahmananda and I are sitting looking at one another saying, what did we do? What did we just do? We just left Prabhupada. There we were by our desires. By our desires we left. But it took a few months. Finally, Prabhupada came back. He was gone for some time. I was there helping out in Govinda's restaurant a little bit. Then Prabhupada came. He didn't have his servant. I was still his servant. He didn't get a different one while I was away for a month or so. I was outside, living outside, but I would come and give him a massage. So that went on for a few days. Then one day I didn't show up. One evening I didn't show up for massage. I was in a big car accident, my godbrother and I. We got in an accident, very serious accident. The person that hit us, there were 3 people in the car. They all died. They hit us so hard. But we got special mercy when they hit the driver's door. I was on the other side, passenger door. It flew open, and we both flew out of the car. If we would have been in the car, we would have been finished. But the car door opened up and threw us into the street. That also didn't feel very good, but it didn't kill us. We didn't go through a windshield, nothing like that. And the car, I remember seeing spinning around, this car spinning around us. Anyway, we were both in bad shape. They took us to the hospital. My back was, we both got whiplash and sore back. So, of course, that night, I didn't come to the temple to give Prabhupada massage. So, the next day, of course, Paramahamsa said, Prabhupada wants to know, what happened? Where are you? So I made my way to the temple, went up to see Prabhupada. It's after lunchtime. And there's a group of devotees there in Prabhupada's sitting room. And Prabhupada said, what happened? So I described the whole car accident. Prabhupada just sat there and listened. And I told him his car hit us like 50 miles an hour. It was going like 80 kilometers an hour. Through a red light it went. That's what happened. It went through a red light and just smashed into us. So I told Prabhupada all of that. And then when I concluded, he looked at me and he said, if not for Krishna's mercy, he said, you would have died in that accident. Whenever something like that happens, we always say, Krishna saved us. Krishna saved us. But then, the next day, I'm there with Prabhupada, giving him massage. Devotees are in the room, and Prabhupada said, tell them what happened. So then I described the accident again. All the details. Prabhupada sat there behind his desk, listening. And then when I finished, he looked at everyone. He said he would have died in that accident, but Krishna saved him. So I was starting to think it was something extraordinary. But then it didn't end there. That evening, the same thing happened. Another group of devotees are in the room. Prabhupada said, tell them. Tell them about the accident. So I told them about the accident. And of course, even talking was, every time you open your mouth, your back's hurting, your neck's hurting, and I'm describing the accident. And again, Prabhupada looked at everyone and said, Krishna saved him, or he would have died in that accident. This is all of our positions. Krishna Balarāma, they're taking care of us. I see how hard Prabhupada worked for this temple. How fortunate we are. Too often I forget the good fortune of living in Vrindavan. You live here, like we say, familiarity breeds contempt. That's what they always say when you're with the pure devotee. Gradually you think, oh, he's eating, he's sleeping, he's passing urine. He's just another person. Not like that. And I feel that way about to be in this temple. Very, very special. Always need blessings. We have to pray to Krishna Balarāma. Especially today. Amavasya today. They're dressed up very specially today, very nicely. So then, so many things happened. Once I was with Prabhupada again, it became difficult. First year it wasn't so difficult. But then it becomes difficult when you're with a person who's a pure devotee and he expects you to do what he's doing. Like he said to Guru Kripa at 1 o'clock in the morning, why are you sleeping? Prabhupada said, I'm not sleeping. Guru Kripa said, you're a Paramahamsa. Prabhupada said, well, why aren't you a Paramahamsa? This was Prabhupada. What he was doing, he wanted us to do it. He expected us to do it. So there in Hawaii, my situation was different. Prabhupada's getting ready to leave on his trip. This was the big trip, 1975, when he went South America, Mexico City, Atlanta, Georgia, all these places in 2 months. But I wasn't prepared to go. And of course, Prabhupada knew. Our GBC at the time, Guru Kripa, he knew. So it was literally the day before Prabhupada was leaving. And I got a call to see Srila Prabhupada. It was the afternoon. So I went in, I offered my obeisances. And Prabhupada's sitting very comfortably. Hawaii, beautiful room. Windows 3 ways around, both sides on the walls and the front. Skylight, very bright, beautiful. You could see the coconut trees and the mango trees from his sitting place. So I went in and offered obeisances. Well, Guru Kripa was there, I was right there. And so Prabhupada looked at me, and Guru Kripa's looking at me, and he's smiling. So a lot had gone on. I didn't know what had gone on. I'm naive, very naive. So Prabhupada said, so we're leaving tomorrow? Meaning he's leaving tomorrow. He said, so we're leaving tomorrow? Then he looked at me, he said, so you're going to stay here? So that's what I was going to do. And I just sheepishly said, yes, Prabhupada. He just looked. Then his Guru Kripa says, oh, Prabhupada, you say how Prabhupada had just completed, fifth canto. He was working on fifth canto. So Guru Kripa, he was stirring things up. He said, so I understand, Prabhupada, you say that the wife, she's like sucking the blood during the day, sucking the blood at night. He said, but what about the children? How is it? They're also... Prabhupada said, oh. He said, just like the jackals. He said, tearing off the flesh. And then he said, so you're going to stay here with your wife and child? I said, no, Prabhupada, I'm coming. Very good, he said. This he used with me. He was always trying to save me. He's always trying to save all of us. My situation wasn't unique. It was the same as everyone's. This was his business, to save us. On the one hand, he did it through chastisement. Saying, he has to chastise, to teach you how to do things. He said it's not done with any ill intent. It's to help you. But then he made you become attached to him. He actually made you develop feelings for him. We went on that trip, went all around the world. Then, of course, we went to Australia, flying. 13 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours, airports. Prabhupada did it like he never left the ground. Every place we went, he just did his service. And us 20-year-olds, we would struggle. So then we went to Australia. Then from Australia, he went to Fiji. And in Fiji, after flying, we arrived in Fiji. In Australia, we were eating very, very nicely. So then we got to Fiji. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and we had been observing Ekadasi. So we get to the person's home, I think Vasudeva, and they prepared a big feast for our arrival. Of course, it was all grains. It was non-Ekadasi feast. It was grains, puris, halava, all these things. Now, we've been following Ekadasi, and of course, we saw what was there. And then Paramahamsa, Prabhupada, he said it's not Ekadasi feast, Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, take prasadam. That was it. Most practical. Prabhupada was very practical. He said, take prasadam, it's there. We happily followed and we took prasadam. 1 o'clock in the morning. And then you have to be up 4 o'clock in the morning because now it's 4 o'clock where you are. It's not 10 o'clock at night from the place you left. So you had to be up because Prabhupada was up. I had to get everything ready for the morning walk. So we go on the morning walk, come back, Prabhupada speaks, gives a class. Then breakfast time. You've already eaten 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Now again you're going to eat. It's breakfast time. So we were always happy to take prasadam. That was never a problem. So we all took prasadam. Myself, Paramahamsa, Prabhupada's secretary. And then, now it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Paramahamsa and I were in the room next to Prabhupada. And of course, we're tired. So what do? We laid down, started to sleep. These things were unheard of. Before I was with Srila Prabhupada, no question of sleeping during the day anywhere in any temple in the world. Not even a consideration. But now we're sleeping, and really sleeping very soundly. And then I heard a bell ring. Even in my sleep, I could hear the bell ring. Somehow or other, I didn't keep it within the dream. I knew it was coming from an outside source. Wasn't my dreaming. So oh no. We had just got chastised 2 weeks prior for the same thing, sleeping during the day. 2.5 years, I've got chastised more for sleeping than any other thing that I did. Sleeping. Never like to see you sleeping. Not in the daytime, no. So, of course, I'm the one that has to answer the bell. When I go into the room, again, the modes of ignorance completely covered on me, and I'm offering obeisances, and he's already chastising, he's already yelling. Always said the same thing. I've been ringing the bell for hours. If it was 1 minute, it meant hours. Anything more than a few seconds was hours. Where were you? He knew where I was. He knew. All he had to do was look at me. He knew what was going on. Why? I said, I was resting. No one. He would always compare us to the karmis. The karmis aren't resting, he'd say. They're working very hard. Oh, the devotees sleeping very comfortably. He said, why are you sleeping? I never gave an answer. When you're thinking, what are you thinking? Jet lag. That was always what we thought, jet lag. But I never said it to him. I never tried to answer any of his questions if he was chastising you. Because whatever you say, your chastisement increases in intensity and in volume. I did that once. I tried making an excuse. I learned never do that again. Bad habit. So I say, where's Paramahamsa? He's looking at me. Where's Paramahamsa Swami? Resting, Prabhu. Call him. So now I have to go back to the room. Prabhupada wants to see you. It was the only time I ever felt bad. Usually you'd be very happy if he was going to chastise someone else, because he's not chastising you, so that made you happy. But I didn't even feel good for Paramahamsa, because I could see this is not going to be good. And he's a Swami. Prabhupada wants to see you. And me, never thinking thoughtfully, go in with him. I would always go in with to see what was going on, to see others get chastised. That's also part of our pleasure, seeing others get chastised by Prabhupada. That was pleasurable. But this time, not so pleasurable. And Prabhupada looked at Paramahamsa. Where were you? I was taking rest, Prabhupada. And then it happened. Prabhupada said, why are you sleeping during the day? And I looked at Paramahamsa, and I could see he was going to answer him, and I'm thinking, no, don't say anything. He hadn't been with Prabhupada long enough. Paramahamsa looked at Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I have jet lag. Prabhupada looked at him. Jet lag? He said, I'm not sleeping. Why are you sleeping? Then what can you say? We'll be traveling. He set the example. He expected us to follow his example, always. Then he looked, he said, you're a sannyasi. Me, I was just a grahasta. But him, he said, you're a sannyasi. He said, your business is eat less and sleep less. Why are you sleeping? Then he'd say, okay, go. And he'd just leave you. Go. So then you'd go back to your room. But Prabhupada was very sweet. He was very kind. He would call you back in and just have you do something. Of course, he never apologized. He didn't have anything to apologize for. He was trying to train us, being nice devotees, nice Krishna conscious devotees, always engaged in service. I mentioned yesterday, sleeping less, eating less. This is our business. But all the time, whatever he did, you became more attached to him. Because you could see, all he wants to do is see that I become a devotee, to see that I'm engaged in service. This was always his business. And he traveled around the world. Every temple, once he established the temple, he would go there just to see that everybody was inspired. And he was our inspiration. Everything we did. To this day, for me, hasn't changed. He's our inspiration, Srila Prabhupada. Everything he did, this temple, he suffered for over a month. He didn't eat to see that this temple was completed. Just like on the Jaladuta, 2 heart attacks, But then, by that sacrifice, Krishna has no choice other than to please his devotee, to give him what he wants, fulfill his desire. Prabhupada's desire wasn't for himself. It was for all of us now, every day, 40, 50,000 people, just taking darshan of Srila Prabhupada, Gaur Nitai, Krishna Balarāma, Radha Shyama Sundar. He said that's all they have to do. Take a little prasadam, take a little charnamrita. He said their whole life becomes successful, even if they do nothing else. So this is a very special temple. It's a temple, ISKCON temple, but it's Vrindavan, Prabhupada's home. So we have to take it very, very seriously, as best we can. And Prabhupada will take care of everything else. So these are very nice verses now today. Made me think, of course, Krishna Balarāma. Prabhupada established Krishna Balarāma temple. I told you the very first thing when I was in the garden in Los Angeles, holding the Krishna book to read to Prabhupada, when he would tell me, and he looked at me and said, I like the cowherd boys very much. 3 years later on that trip, 1975, that he made me take that trip. He dragged me with him, very mercifully dragged me on that trip around the world. And there in Atlanta, he said the same thing 3 years later. I like the cowherd boys very much. Once one of Prabhupada's, on his entourage, asked Prabhupada who he was in the spiritual world, what was his form. Prabhupada said, if I told you, you would faint. So we don't speculate with that. But we do know, I know he liked the cowherd boys very, very much. Very much like this Krishna Balarāma Mandir that he gave for all of us here. So all we have to do is very happily serve here. Try not to sleep too much. You don't like when you sleep. Waste of time. Waste of time, he would say again and again. Waste of time sleeping. So much to do. This is the devotee. This is when sleep becomes like that, your enemy, then you know you're making progress in Krishna consciousness. Just want to do service 24 hours a day. So there's time left. Anyone have any questions or comments? Shriram Panditji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So I just wanted to know from you, because you had been with Srila Prabhupada. So we often hear one is personal association, then you have that connection, and at the same time there is instruction from Srila Prabhupada. So now you have been with Srila Prabhupada, and now that Vani is there, that instruction. So you feel like, what is that major difference? Because when we see a leader in front of us walking, setting an example, that leaves a lot of impact in our mind in day-to-day life. But when Maharaj is not there or our Guru is not there, then what is left behind is the instruction. So how do you see these two different phases of life?
Yeah, I see, Prabhupada, of course, always said, Vani more important, because ultimately, even with the Vapu, all he does is instructing you. you're getting the same thing, but to get it from him directly, I see the devotees that were with him, so many of them, they're still around doing service. Some have gone, some have came back. I met one god brother, I hadn't seen him for 50 years, and he was away for some time. But he just recently, he joined, he came to that program. He was telling me, Prabhupada told him how to make kachuris. He said then whenever Prabhupada saw me, he would say, make me kachuris. So this is what I say, this is, to be with him certainly gave you, I think, an extra boost. But we see the same thing. Now, position is, like I say, you have to do what he told you to do all those times. And he would say that about, things with me. He had in Hawaii, 2 temple presidents, one after another, they embezzled. And then the GBC suggested me, wrote a letter, and Prabhupada, I had been with him for a long time. Prabhupada said, he's a good boy, you can trust him. He knew at least I wasn't going to take anything. That much he knew. So, that benefit is there. But here now, I'm here because this is Prabhupada's home. For me, everything very personal. When I read, I like to read his conversations, his morning walks, read his letters. Everything was very personal, because that personal was very important, and that's what gave me whatever I do is all because of that, So now I see myself in Prabhupada's home. They're his deities, not that this big temple. For me, this is just Prabhupada's home. Prabhupada's right there. Everywhere you go, we're so fortunate to be in this place. There's nowhere else you can go. Every inch you go, it's just Prabhupada's presence. And he's the person giving us everything. That was the other thing. Everything is personal. Everything is personal. Following the instructions is also personal. It's not, you can see buildings, you can see so many degrees of management, but everything is personal. We see it's coming through my spiritual master. And I want to please him. And that's their goal, just to please him. And he's easy to please. Not difficult. We just have to not sleep so much. That's the one thing. But still that's there. Still dealing with that.
During Mayapur festival, Pragosh was saying to Prabhupada, I want to thank you for bringing us to Mayapur. Prabhupada said, oh no, I've not brought you. My Guru Maharaj and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have brought you. And then Bhavananda said to Prabhupada, but how is it that we're born in Malecha families, meat eaters, and so much in the modes of passion and ignorance? How could he bring us, what qualification do we have? Prabhupada said, no, that's all superficial. Once you heard the holy name, you immediately accepted, and you accepted this Krishna consciousness. So, just a little comment.
Yeah. One of the devotees, the whole Radha Damodar party came to Mayapur that time. And same thing, said, thank you, Prabhupada. He said, this is your home. He said another thing, he said the West, 2 things. He said the West is for preaching or sense gratification. They're your 2 options. So if we're just living in the West just to have a comfortable life without preaching, we're just there for sense gratification. So we see that here. That's also one of the nice qualities here in Vrindavan. That sense, although there's a lot more sense gratification than there used to be here 50 years ago. And Prabhupada wanted us to maintain, especially in the Dhams, austerity. Not that we try to make it like it living in the West and do it here in Vrindavan. No, he said it's a place meant for austerities. He said Vrindavan and Mayapur. So we always have to consider that as well.
But also Prabhupada was very concerned that the devotees having a different standard were actually comfortably situated and taken care of properly. He would often ask, are the devotees taken care of properly? So it wasn't just one-sided that, no, just sleep on the ground and forget about it. He was very concerned
Yes.
that everyone was staying healthy and participating.
Cow's milk. That's what he said at the festival. He said you had to get everyone cow's milk. I told you, and he had Mother Visa pay his BBT book bill by sending ghee here from Australia. Just commercial tins of ghee, because Prabhupada knew here everybody's cheating. The ghee. But he had him send it here, so the devotees living here had nice ghee. Because everything we cooked in ghee. Yeah. I told her at the program in Boston in the class one night, somebody asked me about cooking for Prabhupada, and I told them about, Prabhupada came into the room, he said, do you know how to make parathas? And I said, no, Prabhupada. So he said, well, make a chapati dough and call me. So I did that, and I called him. He came back into the room. This is just a little room. My quarters, this is a tiny bedroom, but there was 2-burner stove on the floor, a gas. And I just used pieces of wood on the floor to roll things on. So he told me, he said, now you roll a chapati. He said, but instead of rolling it in flour, roll it in ghee. So I put a little ghee down, on the table, put the ball of dough there, put a little ghee on the top. I rolled it out like a chapati. And then he said, okay, now put ghee on the top, fold it in half. So I did that, and I rolled it out. So now we got a big half chapati. And then he said, put ghee on top and fold it in quarters. So I did that, put the ghee and I folded. So now it's like that. So then he said, now put some ghee on it and you roll it out. So then it became like big triangle. And then he said, okay. So then the tava was there, medium heat. He said, put some ghee. And then you throw that paratha on there. So I put the paratha on there. He said, now put ghee on the top. So I put more ghee on the top, and then I just pressed it around for about 30 seconds. He said, okay, now you flip it over. What do? More ghee. So this was a paratha. It had like 10 layers of ghee on it. Okay. And then I made him 1, I made him 2, I made him 3 parathas that evening, yeah. But that was parathas, all with ghee. So in this way, we kept very, very healthy. A little bit of ghee. Ghee's good for the joints, good for everything, lubricates everything. And that was it. Okay, any other
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your amazing explanation.
Hare Krishna.
You live in the past with Prabhupada and explain, Prabhupada.
That's all.
Virtually, I went to Juhu when you explained about Juhu. My mind went to Juhu. Like that you explained. And your car accident, that Vishnudutas came and saved you. When Vishnudutas come, the Yamadutas will run away. And they save the pure devotees.
Krishna saved me.
Wonderful.
And then he was, one of the purports he did while he was there, Prabhupada talked about the speed, everyone driving so fast at breakneck speed, he said. He used that term, breakneck speed, because that's what we did. We kind of broke our necks. So he didn't mention any names or anything, but he mentioned the accident, how everyone so busy trying to enjoy sense gratification. He said, oh, so much danger there is. I think I read a statistic, 50,000 people die in the U.S. every year, car accidents. Maybe it was 500,000. It was a lot of people. Yeah. You don't ever hear any accidents in a bullock cart. Some bullock cart ran into another bullock cart. Everybody's okay. Yeah. All right, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna.